It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness.
Hey, welcome. We are at Baseball 101. Well, we're on Baseball 1, not at. We are at Champions Village, down here with U.S. Nationals with, I think the name's Todd Whaley.
That would be correct.
We've met a couple times.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Coach Whaley's my former coach at Merrimack, so we go back, we'll just say a while.
It's approaching 30.
20, it is 30.
Yeah.
94. So he recruited me in 94 to Merrimack. Sorry, St. Louis, what do they call it now? St. Louis Community College?
It's St. Louis Community College at Merrimack, and the mascot now is the Archers.
Archers.
Yes.
So, for those that don't know, Coach Whaley played at Merrimack in mid-80s.
85.
So,
Yeah.
You guys went to a World Series then, didn't you?
We did. We went in 86.
So, he got to go to one out in Grand Junction. Then he coached me 2 years at Merrimack. We got to go to two.
Correct.
I do not recommend having him drive you through the hills of or mountains of Denver and Colorado. I still thank God nightly that we didn't go off a cliff, because I guess you're in a hurry. We were excited to get there.
Yeah, we went. Hey, we had to get from Denver to Grand Junction, Colorado, which is
It's a drive.
what, a good 3-4 hours.
I don't know, but we got there quickly.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good memory. So JUCO baseball at its finest. And now, so you were Merrimack, then you went to SLU for a couple years.
Yep, that was a SLU from 98 to 2003.
And then you've spent the last 20 plus years doing club baseball stuff, right?
Correct. It's been
a while.
yeah, it's not work.
Well, it's baseball. So
It's baseball, so
Good.
it's something you love. It's not work.
I'm trying to get done with teaching to get back to baseball. So 3 more years holding me a job. But you've been doing recruiting most of the time in club baseball. That's been primarily what you focus on.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you've been busy lately with all the rule changes.
Well, it's been extremely. It's hard to keep up with because
Yeah.
there's the rules. Speculation on what they're changing,
Yep.
but they haven't solidified what it's going to be yet.
That's what I've heard. Did they finally decide on a number for the fall roster 36?
The last I heard, they were going back to 35, but I don't think it's been. They're still hashing all that,
Yeah.
particularly whether it's going to be 35, 37, 40, what that number is going to be. The constant number you keep hearing is 35. So that's probably where it's going to land.
Yeah.
When that 35 has to happen, whether it's the first day of school when you practice, or it's going to be at the end of your fall practice, more towards the end of the fall semester in December.
Yeah.
No one seems to know
Where
where that's going to fall yet. But when they get it all worked out, it'll happen. I think there's some lawsuits that they're fighting through, litigation that's going to happen. And once that gets squared away, I think then you'll find out the timetable of when this is going to be enforced and how it's going to be enforced. So, I mean, the last I heard, the judge threw it back to the powers to be and said, "Hey, you guys need to figure this out. You guys, here's the parameters. Figure it out."
The one thing that's for sure, it's less than what it was.
I believe it's going to be less than what it was.
There's going to be less opportunities for kids to go from high school D1 and kind of develop
Right.
for a year or two before getting playing time. So
They needed cost control, is what's happening with the NIL situations. It's just they had to come to some kind of cost control to figure this thing out, because unlike football, where there's no rules to this thing anymore right now. So I think there's going to be some rules and some parameters that will be set down, I would assume, and I don't know if you're going to have a fair playing field because you're not.
No, I
but
don't think so.
I guess equitable is what, they'll say anything but the fair playing field, I think.
I think that the toughest part, obviously, being around college sports, the haves, the SEC, the Power Four now,
Yep.
they have the money to do all the scholarships. They have the money to give out 34, 35, whatever scholarships.
Right.
But the mid-majors can't match the NIL. They can't match the scholarships. So all of a sudden, now you're getting that gap of
Bigger gap.
essentially the mid-majors are, to a degree, a JUCO for the Power Four in a way of they develop players and then those guys move on to.
It's very similar to minor leagues in baseball. You got rookie ball, you got A ball, you got double A, you got triple A, and then you got the big leagues, and that's kind of the pecking order that it'll be. And with the essentially free agency in college,
Yeah.
it doesn't. People don't want to believe it, and it's hard to see as a player, a freshman kid coming out, trying to go to a 4-year school. They can't see through the forest there per se, but it doesn't matter where you start anymore.
No.
Because you got to go out and put up numbers, because that's essentially what the 4-year schools are looking for. To take a freshman that's unproven at the collegiate level is difficult for them at this particular time. But if they can pick a guy up from a D1 or another D1 school, a D2 school, a junior college, who they can see has, 200 collegiate bats, and then they have some supporting numbers that say, okay, we'll take that guy. They're going to take the guy with experience pretty much all the time.
Physically, they're further along. They've developed 2 more
Right.
years of.
Yeah, let's face it, the Power Four guys, if you want to talk about that situation, those guys are CEOs.
Yeah.
They're making, I would assume the average is between $500 and $1 million a year. Right?
They're doing well.
They really like their job,
They
and their job is to win games.
Absolutely.
So their job's to win games. Their jobs is to have as many home games as they can garner through their schedule. That brings people in. They're making gate revenue there. Everybody's on TV now, whether it's ESPN Plus or the SEC now, AC now, whatever. The networks are out there. Their job is to win, put their school in a spotlight, so every week they're on TV, and not only win, but host conference tournament, or not conference tournament, but a regional.
Yeah.
Right. Host and be in the top 8, so they become a super regional. That's the big guys. That's the goal. I mean, they all have it in their contract that
you win, you get paid.
Exactly. And so, when you think of it in those terms, then those guys are CEOs, and if they have an employee that can't help them, they have to get rid of the employee and find another employee. Yeah. And that's the reality of it. And it doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just that's what we have. Right.
But it does affect the high school player, because as that trickles down of a Mizzou, a D1 school with NIL and recruiting, transfer portal, they have to recruit their own players first.
Right.
And then the next part is now they're going to the portal to go watch college games and try to recruit other kids in the portal. So by the time they get down to high school, one, they're limited on money, and
they're limited on number of players.
And number of players and their needs.
Yeah.
Like what needs haven't been met through either their team they already had that they've developed or the portal. So as you're talking to high school guys, and obviously it's a newer thing, these kids getting ready to go out, or sophomore, juniors getting ready to enter that, are they pretty receptive to understanding that this shift, that, hey, if you go to, let's just say Carbondale, mid-major, good mid-major, you go put up numbers there, that's maybe a better route than trying to go to a Power Four, which at this point, unless you're a draft.
Which there's not many of them either, as the draft got shut down. So
87 high school kids last year.
Like I said before, it's a tough reality. You do your best to explain it to them that you need to get on the field and put up a resume.
Yeah.
Your resume is big.
Numbers don't lie from that standpoint.
And not the high school resume.
No.
Unless it's just off the chart, unless it's like off the chart. And if it's off the chart, then you're a potential draft guy. And you're already probably going to one of those Power Fours.
Yep.
And you're going to have NIL and all those things that go with it. And then when you get there, guess what? They don't care what you were. You got to put up. You got to produce. And if you don't produce, then you become an unemployable employee.
Yep.
Because they can't use you.
And that's like the class of 24. People are like, well, they're already there. They're okay. But I don't think they realized, or people realize that roster's shrinking. Those are the first guys that, hey, you didn't produce last year. You didn't develop the way we want. They're going to be in the portal.
Yeah.
And then the 25, like the days of bringing in 20 guys out of high school, you can't really do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not feasible. You don't have the space, and the NCAA rules are limiting that, which brings up the new, because I don't even know what rules in place for JUCO, but that the idea of they may be able to go to JUCO for 2 years and still have 4 years of NCAA, which that's still.
I still don't believe that will happen.
I believe that,
but yeah,
I didn't think people would be making six figures playing NCAA baseball at this point either.
Yeah, that would be if that happened. If that does happen, just think of this: we'll have the most educated public. In the world.
Masters Plus coming out of.
Everybody's going to, you should have close to a Masters or finish the Masters by the time you're done playing.
Well, kids right now are coming out, like our school district, you have your associate's degree before you graduate high school.
Yeah. Well,
then you go JUCO.
Yeah.
I mean, you only take basket weaving so many times before it's like.
You got to take something.
You got to take something that moves you educationally forward. But for those that don't know, right now with the NCAA, the quarterback from Vanderbilt, basically sued to get his years back.
And I didn't read up on that or anything. And he won. At this particular point, he won that suit, so he's going to get another year at basically discounting his JUCO years. And I know that the internets went nuts. The social medias went crazy on that. And it's a case-by-case game.
Yes.
Everybody thinks that's going to happen. Well, until another person sues to get that eligibility restored, I think we're 2-2.
Yes, I think it's as of right now the rule is 2-2.
Yeah.
But with the roster size reduction, JUCO is becoming much
a better option
for a lot of people that were who was a D1 player last year, a bubble 38, 39 roster. Either you're at a top D2, Central Missouri sort of thing, or JUCO.
The one thing that we baseball is going to get better.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, the quality of baseball at every level is going to get better because what you're doing essentially is trying to get the likes with the likes. And heck, some D2 schools out there, the Central Missouri's, even now Maryville's starting to put it together. I mean, Umsel had a better year last year than they've had in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Could they come again and be strong? Probably. Everybody's going to get better because of the fact that you've got so many drop downs and things that are happening.
You cut 6 players from all the D1. That's about 1,800 players that they're moving somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And so D2 gets better. And JUCO baseball, to me, which we obviously are a big fan of, there should be plenty of opportunities to sell JUCO, getting at bats, getting on the field, because the JUCO player that can play is going to have an opportunity.
You would think that because he's going to be able to put his resume together in 2 years, whereas a kid that maybe sticks for 1 year at a Power 4 school or even a Division I school but doesn't get the playing time, the JUCO guy's ahead of him already. He's already built 1 year of a resume against collegiate athletes, and thus he's got a hell of an opportunity to, put his resume out there to anybody that is looking,
So the players you talk to, and as you start doing recruiting with the kids now, 25s, 26s, 27s, as you're starting to have those conversations, do they seem more receptive to the idea of JUCO, or are they still? I mean, they grew up with social media, seeing all these kids,
right?
D1, D1, D1,
and all their players before them in their organizations, such
Yeah.
they've done this, and right now it's a simple preach.
Yeah.
You need to go where your best opportunity to get on the field and play is.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter where it's at. You've got to play, right? And if you feel your best opportunity is at a Power 4, well, then you're going to give it a shot.
Yep. But the number's going to be pretty low.
Right. We know from just if you're watching, just experience of watching what's going on, man, that's a tough road to hope. It's tough. And if you make it and you get those significant times at bats and playing time, man, that's a feather in your cap, and you're probably going to stick, and you're in the right spot.
Yeah.
Right. But we know that's not right.
Often it does happen.
It happens, but it's not.
It's not the norm.
It's not the norm anymore.
Well, I saw an article, and who knows? I saw an article about Mizzou. They're projecting the kid that came in from Kansas Community College as could be the starting shortstop. And I'm like, he goes to JUCO for a couple years. He comes in, but they had the Culbertson that was there a little bit last year as a freshman. They got some time, but you
got a ton of time.
He played a ton, but the JUCO guy comes in, and who knows? I mean, that's someone projecting who's playing there. It's just another option.
He played a ton, but then if you look at his body of work, it's not what they wanted to compete going forward in the SEC. So essentially, he's a player that got fired because he played, he got his opportunity, and it just didn't work. Now, and they chose to move on. They didn't want to give him a second chance. It's the free agency, right? And it works the same way. Let's say he went out and led the SEC in fielding and hitting.
The freshman lefty that was there 2 years ago that went to Tennessee, Bargo.
Put
up numbers.
Right.
He goes to Tennessee.
Right. He's got the opportunity to go seek out free agency. So it works both ways.
But it is a business much earlier. Like,
I
only saw the business part of it once I signed professionally. Like, you had to produce, the money invested in you, kind of dictate the opportunities you got.
Right.
Now that system comes, like you're saying, like almost minor leagues in college, where it's a business now. You produce,
it's strictly a business.
You get paid more, you get more opportunities. You don't, and you end up transferring.
It's a business where the player has 2 full-time jobs. He's got to play and he's got to go to school, right? Because he's got to get a certain amount of GPA in the classroom. So he's got 2 full-time jobs per se, and that's just the way it is.
So with the recruiting changing and shifting, all the rules shifting, everything else, as you start looking at, it seems like the last 5-10 years, whatever, the main goal was to get people in front of D1 coaches. Mm-hmm. Well, the percent of kids going D1 is going to go down. So do you start looking at different ways to structure schedules for kids to be seen more by D2, JUCO, N.C.A.A. schools? Have you seen, obviously this is newer, but like moving forward the next year, 2, 3 years, do you see a shift in, hey, we don't need to go to the WWBA, because what percent of our kids are actually going to get opportunities through that compared to another?
I think there's got to be, it's becoming a mix. And besides that particular, what you brought up, and that's true, the recruiting really isn't at 15. It's really not until the 16 year, because I can talk to them after that. It was August 1st.
Yeah.
But the expense of the whole thing now.
The travel expense is huge.
I mean, a hotel room now is, you can't get them for under $150 unless you're
a base hotel room.
You want to stay in something nice. So the expense of it. So now you have to developing a schedule is really hard. In the fact, now you got to pick some things where you got to start getting them experience right on that travel and that grind per se for that next year when they can, where they have to go out and produce and play in a high leverage situation. So but you don't need to do them 6 out of 6, 7 weeks. And
I agree.
3 to 4, and then you pick your tournament wisely, or however you want to pick your tournament, what's going to put them in a bigger spotlight on a bigger stage, because you want to see how they perform under that bigger stage, right? And that's preparing them for the following year. So do you take it all away? No. Can you take some of it away? Yes. Like back in the day when I kind of first started this, it was every week we were going out.
Yeah.
And the whole.
But the teams you had when you started,
right,
were much more concentrated talent with as many clubs.
Right. There's so many clubs. Yeah.
4 or 5. I know that was a prospect long ago that, those teams they went because there was, name how many D1 guys are on there.
Yeah.
Now
we had to go to find other talent like us to play.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, it was like, you don't get any better when you beat somebody 10-0.
No, it's not.
The other team
beneficial for anyone.
Yeah, you didn't get any better if you win, and you didn't get any better if you lost 10-0.
No.
That's an uneven match. It doesn't make much sense. So you want to try to limit those as many as possible as you can. But you do need to go out and try to perform and find those teams. And some of the coalitions, Premier Baseball that we're in, with some of the other locals, clubs around here, and we can stay home and all play each other. It's great.
Yeah.
Everybody's top team stays in. We play. You're getting your competition. It's not like the, PBR national champ. You're getting the quality of play. You may not get the stage that you think you want, but you're getting the quality of play. And quality of play there is a big factor.
But the stage you want, I think sometimes people assume, hey, we go to WWBA because we've had experience there. You go there, you're going to play at Lake Point. When you end up at a high school an hour and a half away where there's no one there, you ain't playing in front of on the main stage.
I try to go to events now when we're scheduling that, like Grand Parks, have multiple fields. Yeah. Lake Point is PBR now, so it's got multiple fields. So at least you're going to play at the main site. 2, if it's a 5-game set, you might get 3 out of the 5 at the main field. That's kind of what you want to do because it limits your run around that particular town.
It's more available. It's more gas.
Yeah.
It's more.
It's more expensive.
Yeah.
Just based on everything. So yeah, you try to pick and choose, but you also want to, when you say on development, well, that's come summertime, your development happens. What's going on behind us?
Yeah,
and here you develop through to a certain point, through the off season. Let's say after fall's over, and it could even happen in the fall. It goes through the fall to the time you play in the summer. The summer is the test of what you did in the off season.
Yeah,
right. That's the development process that you put in. How much did you personally put in? Lifting, hitting, doing the things that you need to do to make yourself a better athlete. And we all know bigger, stronger is better, right? So those things, and then you go out in the summer, and that's where you're testing yourself for that situation against guys that are like you, So it's and everybody wants. I've seen plenty of multi-sports guys, and they're like, we don't have time. If you want to be a good baseball player these days, period, and you want to go play in college, you have to make priority time for baseball. Not saying you can't play football, you can't play basketball, you can't play soccer, you can't play another sport. It doesn't matter if you want to play baseball at the next level, no matter what that level is, you have to make time throughout the week. And get it, it's hectic. You got football, you got practice till this time. The whole everybody. I've seen it. I know it. I've heard it. It's just you don't want to make priority.
But the younger times, like you get 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
What I saw with my son who went through it was his junior year, he started to play basketball, started to lose weight, and he's like, I can't afford to lose weight and be the baseball player I want to be. So he had to make a choice of, do I really want to pursue this baseball, or do I continue playing basketball? And my son would have been fine if he kept playing basketball, but there's a point, and for each kid, I think is different.
Right. Every kid's going to develop different.
Everyone's going to be different. My son was smaller. Physically, he could hold the weight. He would have played basketball, but he couldn't. So for him, he had to step away and get stronger and faster.
And nobody knows when that's going to happen.
No.
Like a kid hits that second stage of puberty where they start putting on muscles and start not losing weight by sleeping, right?
He would wake up in the middle of the night and eat just to slow it down.
Right. I mean, and the good Lord's the only one that knows that, right? And you can train them, you can educate them how they need to, what they need to eat and how they go about that. But all you're doing is train it for when they get to that point.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that you or I can do
You
to
can't speed
it up.
Maturation process.
You can, but it's illegal.
Yes. We're back to JUCO.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's just about making priority for it. And I'm not saying you got to have 5 days a week baseball.
No.
You got to have two. If you're a pitcher, you're going to have at least 3.
You're going to have to figure out for your goals, and each person's goal is different.
Correct.
I mean, if you're trying to go D1, and that's a very small % of the kids that watching whatever, like that's many, and that's a natural genetic talent at this point where you got to be elite. So, but if you're wanting to pursue college baseball, you have to have the talent, you have to have work ethic. All the work ethic in the world can't make talent here, and all the talent in the world has to be developed at some point. What are you talking about? You mentioned like the kids say bigger, stronger, faster. I mean, I'm curious because I've seen it and I was just curious your opinion. Kids train more off season, year round than they did 20 years ago, 15 years, back to wherever.
When I played, you played one sport, went to the next sport.
You dropped, and that's why I would drop the baseball, go play football. I dropped the football, play basketball, and we just moved through. Do you think this is where I get the skill of the baseball player, do you think it's better than it was before all the club stuff? Just on the skill, the tools they have, are they more developed now than they were 20 years ago?
I think I have to say yes to that. Because they're developing them a little bit sooner.
They're being refined earlier.
Yeah. And really back, even as early 20 years ago.
I mean, the early 90s, it didn't exist.
There wasn't none of this.
No.
You went and hit maybe on your own in a batting cage, or you hit wiffle ball.
Batting cages.
Yeah, I mean, we went up to the school batting cage.
Yeah.
If it was hung up, right? Because they used to take them down, believe it or not. Now they don't.
No, year-round.
It's a year-round gig. So I would say yes, because with the more popularity of sports on TV and so forth and so on, I think kids are more focused on what maybe I want to try this, and the pro athletes are saying this is what I did. So kids are going to do what I did.
Well, there's more opportunities to do it year-round.
Right.
For the multi-sport athletes, like we used to do, we go from sport to sport.
Right.
But now the kids, if they want to pursue baseball year-round, can. And I agree, the skill of the players, the tools they have are more developed.
Because kids are physically developing earlier also. Maturity, bigger, stronger, faster.
We were supposed to lift weights.
Yeah.
No. Like, I know it's shocking, but years ago we were told, I had a college coach tell me don't lift. I mean, so, but.
Because there's more skill. There is more, guys are getting taught more skills. So the guys, like soccer, kids can go out in the backyard and they're dribbling around the cones. They're doing, we didn't do that when we were younger. Not that I ever played soccer, but none of the guys that I knew that played soccer, they didn't do that. They went to practice to do that.
No.
So now they're more self-practice per se. Guys are doing things more on their own, and thus they're developing quicker.
So they're developing, the skills. But are they better at playing the game? This is what I've seen.
They don't know the game.
And this is where I think the struggle that I've seen is they have more tools. I mean, they throw higher velo, they throw better secondary, they swing the bat better. Like they have all the
They're
tools.
more athletic and they're doing things athletically better.
But watching them play the game, the details that makes baseball really fun, the reading the balls on the dirt, stealing signs, like all of those things I feel like we've lost.
Right.
And I'm not, and that's where
the little parts of the game have disappeared per se.
Yeah.
But back in the day, the little parts of the game, helped you win games. I mean,
That's
fortunately, growing up when I got into high school, even in the summer, Dave Pregon, who was a great coach, he knew the game. When those things happened on the field and we didn't do those things happening on the field, we were told about those things, right?
There were clear expectations of what should happen.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure now that sometimes in the summer, guys, don't know what just happened.
And that's how do we restore, like, as you're talking about just club, I think that's been the struggle for me is college coaches are paid to win, we talked about. They want players that understand how to win, but they also want players that have the tools.
The baseball IQ.
Yes. And I feel like whether it's high school or club, it's the same thing. I'm seeing it across the board.
Well,
individually, they're talented, but understanding the team game of, like, obviously I'm a fan of bunting, but there's situations don't bunt the ball. Like, there's an understanding of this situation good, and that's where I think the feel of the game has been lost a little bit.
Yeah, good. No, there's no question about it. That, the IQ has gone down, and partly because even if you watch the big leagues, unorthodox play, and it works. Well, everybody's seen that on TV. There's a high school coach, college coach, whatever. Well, hey, why don't we try that? Yeah. Right? So now they try it and well, they're doing it. Yeah. So we're going to do it. So they're going to do it. And then it's just like a chain. It may be unorthodox and not, simple baseball IQ stuff, but it's like, why would you ever do that? Because it worked one time.
Yes.
It becomes...
You're playing the percentages.
Yeah. Right.
What can you do consistently?
Right.
And that's where I think do you see any way to raise the baseball IQ? I mean, they have to play the game, and that's what I've thought about this before. Like, how did I really develop the IQ part? Because I feel like I was more of I feel like I have a pretty good feel for the game.
Yeah, when you came into Merrimack, you at the time we would call it aggressive. Well, on the base paths, you were an aggressive player. Some may have called it a high risk, high reward situation. I think it was calculated. It wasn't, I'm running just because I can run. I'm running because that dude made a mistake, and I know he was. I read the mistake before it even happened, and I was able to do what I was.
I had looked at the catcher's arm. I looked at the release time. I looked at the pitcher's pickoff moves. Like those things that allowed me to gain advantages, to use the tools I've had. And that's why I'm struggling, and I've coached for a long time. You've been around a long time, and I've struggled to try to figure out how to instill some of those things in, because I feel like kids are so afraid of making mistakes that they've lost the freedom to play the game in the backyard.
Low body, yeah.
So you have a trained swing instead of just an athletic motion.
Right. The best thing for a kid to do is go out and play wiffle ball.
Wiffle ball, I love. I mean, hitting a curveball. You know, hit a curveball. Wiffle ball,
man.
You'd have to find someone that knows how to throw.
You're gonna get launch angle. You're gonna get bat speed. You're gonna get back plane.
You cannot overswing wiffle ball.
You're gonna get everything that you try to train with back in here with a wiffle ball bat, because it's
a wiffle ball cage.
Yeah, I mean, so that's we do here with the Nats. We have Sundays. We do youth academy, we call it, and currently what you're talking about right now it's a very small field back there, but we're starting with the 8s, 9s, then going all up, and we put the machine back there, and we'll have infielders and a batter, and boom, they gets on. So like, where's the force out? What do you got here? If the ball's hit to you, what are you going to do?
Situation.
So it's situational, and it's just two of us back there sitting there. What are you going to do with the ball when you get it? What's the play that could possibly happen? Yeah. What's this? So we're talking about that, and we're doing it for 8 weeks, kind of thing. Yeah. We're talking about that, and then with my 14-year-olds, we do. We did 4 weeks inside down at the Bud Dome, so we got a bigger space, and we did, brought in Andy Bunton from Maryville, who's a great infield guy, really good infield guy, and we're going with basic fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
And then when we went in May, kind of when high school just about getting done, we're going to take the 14 years out. We rent Maryville's field, and we're going to go out, and it's basic cutoffs.
Yeah.
Situational. We'll put runners on, fake runners on, or we put real runners on, and I'll hit a home go at home plate, and wherever I hit it, then they make the play. We do it mainly for cutoffs because I've never seen cutoffs so poorly in my life. Just to get in the neighborhood of the right spot would be good.
Yeah. That would be wonderful.
So we do those things, but we kind of do infield clinic first, and then we go to the outfield. So, we're doing that with our guys. We did it last year. We thought it was great.
Yeah.
The reception we got from our 14 said that was awesome. And the crazy thing is, participation was damn near 100%.
Well, they're not drills. You're going to play and learn. We're
playing and we're talking about the game. So that's what we did, and we're going to do that. For 3 more. When the weather breaks, we'll go out and do that. And so, I guess you could say we're trying.
Well, that's why I think
but obviously you need more time. Yes.
But 14U now to me opens up more because recruiting has been pushed back. I agree. 15, you're kind of trying to get them to understand what it's like to go and play in these things. But 14, you have more opportunities to do that sort of stuff. They're still young enough. So you're kind of gaining that time, that age group to me that used to be, hey, you're starting to be seen, where now you ain't being seen. Mm-hmm. So you might as well try to instill some of the baseball IQ into their game to set them apart.
Some of them will sneak down. They're still, and I think college coaches will sneak down to 15U events at some of the more major situations, mainly to get rosters because they want the name and they want the email, and they're like, hey, come to a camp. Right?
Yeah.
That's
legal as far as kids can choose to go to a Mizzou baseball camp and talk to the staff, get to know them.
Correct.
So is that something you're encouraging kids to do, or not to be dumb? The percent of kids probably going to Mizzou so low, it's like take your time.
Yeah, if you have the means and you have the want to, then go. I wouldn't encourage them to go to 10 different camps. Hey. Okay, Mizzou is like the in-town team, and you're the state team. Yeah, go. If that's your interest, go. If Illinois is your interest, well then you go. You get on that list per se, right?
Yeah.
You can do that, but I wouldn't do 10 of them in a year. It's like pick out 5 or 6, 4 to 6 maybe. And then it cost prohibitive. What you can afford, what you can handle, and that's different for every family. And enjoy the experience, right? The experience is more what you're looking for in that situation.
Yeah.
Also, I guess the bonus on the cake is, hey man, they're gonna see me.
Oh right? Yeah, absolutely.
And if I can do one thing that makes them remember my name, then I got something going, right?
Absolutely. So this like the way things are going, the showcases have been very popular from PG, PBR, whatever, and then you can go on campus and kind of do that. Like, how big is showcases with this new system? Do you think they still hold the benefit that they did?
I think showcases are probably, in some respect, even more important.
Yeah.
Because it shows your progress. Like the PBR recruiting, their showcases, that stays with you, right? So if you go when you're 15 and you ran a 7.4 60 and you threw it 81 across the infield or off the mound, and you hit it and the exit velo was 77 and distance was 210 or whatever it was, and then you go the next year and all those numbers are better. Okay, you're progressing, right?
The trajectory is going the right way.
Right, you're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I kind of once they get to that 15, and it makes more sense to me to 2 showcases. You got one in the winter or this time of year coming up.
Got the preseason,
right?
PBR ones coming
right,
up.
you're starting to see where you're at, right? And then You got one in the summer or late summer, early summer. We got another one that would come. Okay, let's see what you were. Then you played high school. Some guys actually get better through high school, right? They hit the stride,
They
right?
should get better as you're playing 3 months of baseball,
right? Right. You're here, and it's like
on the field.
Right. You're here, and all you've done is indoor.
Mm-hmm.
You're still in indoor. Now you go outdoor for 8 weeks, and then right before the summer you do one, and okay, so it's like 2 a year. You progress through it, and because those numbers follow you. And now, if I'm a college coach, I can look at it and see Johnny as a 15-year-old, Johnny as a 17-year, 16-year-old. Oh, Johnny got better.
Yeah.
Johnny put some work in, right?
Yep.
So those things are kind of they kind of go hand in hand. So I think they're important now more than I thought they were back when recruiting. You could start recruiting guys and back in before he had free agencies and
before
all that.
The NIL, the other.
Before that stuff, because every college coach wanted young players.
Yeah, they want to develop their own players.
Develop. Yeah,
now,
there ain't no development.
They just plug and play. Let's win now.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
I mean, I saw. I went to JUCO and then I walked into SLU and I started.
Yeah.
If I walked into SLU at 18, I'm not starting.
Right.
Like that's the reality of I was not good enough to start at D1 school out of high school.
Yeah.
And that's the reality for most people, but it's a process.
Oh, it's a big process, and the sooner guys figure out who they are and where they're at in this particular point in time. Doesn't mean what they're going to be tomorrow or a month from now or 6 months from now or 2 years from now. Figure out who you are now, and now let's attack who I am now, and how do I get to where I want to get to. There's not enough of them. They don't know who they are. They don't want to look in the mirror and say, I got to do X, Y, and Z.
Well,
right.
That's what separates elite from above average to average. And the filtering process, that's still the same.
Yeah.
Like as you move up, and that's what I think at the D1 level you're going to see, it's filtering out the guys that really aren't going to get playing time at D1 level, and they're more of a D2 player. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, like you said earlier, I think it's going to make the whole game better, but
some of those D2 players become D1 players because they went to D2.
Yep, absolutely. You go. Yep. I mean, it's going to happen, but there's a lot of moving parts, and I mean, I appreciate you trying to explain some of them.
Yeah, it's hard to explain because there's
change.
Every college coaching staff has different views.
Yep.
Everybody wants one guaranteed thing, and there's nothing guaranteed.
No.
Right, and they're looking for a utopia. There is no utopia. It's everybody's different. What do they do? What
works for them may work for you.
And what they do recruiting wise, I guarantee. I'd love to talk to Carrick. I haven't talked to Carrick in a while at Mizzou. I guarantee his recruiting board's probably changed. It changes weekly.
I would think.
I would think even sometimes daily. Their recruiting board and their needs, because they're in practice right now. Somebody just it clicked for him.
Yeah.
We were hoping it happened. Okay, we don't need this anymore. So now we don't need this particular position anymore. Right.
Injury shows up now. There's a need.
Right.
Those are the things that Constant and Carrick, for those on Carrick Jackson, coach at Mizzou, he played on the same team at Merrimack with me, playing for it. So, great guy, by the way. Hi, Carrick. I'm sure you're not watching, but it's okay.
Tune in.
Thanks, Carrick.
But, so everybody wants to know how recruiting works.
It's Tennessee's recruiting is different than how Free State's recruiting.
Yeah.
Like, those, you can't mimic what Tennessee does. It's unique to the personnel. It's unique to... But the money part raises the expectation that if Mizzou has money coming in, hey, I don't care if you're wherever, we're supporting the program. We need you to win.
Right.
Carrick's going to have to find a way, and he will. Carrick's a great guy, and I think he's going to find the right talent for him. And they're going to compete.
Yeah. Compete, and if you compete, all you got to do is get into it. You get into the tournament, and crazy stuff happens. So that's, but it's different for everybody. Every school and every staff, coach, whether it doesn't matter what level, has different different philosophy.
End of the day, you're trying to find the right fit for the right kid.
Yeah.
And when that clicks, you get on the field, you get playing time. I mean, that's what you're trying. These kids are training to try to find the right spot
Find
for
the
them.
find the least path of resistance.
Yep.
That's what you're looking for. Because nobody's guaranteeing anything, but if the path is easier at school A than school B, but school B is Power 4, well, I mean, you might want to go here because you need to play.
JUCO, you're competing with one other grade,
Yeah.
and that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed the wisdom of Coach Whaley. I got to experience it 30 years ago, and been listening to it ever since. So appreciate your time doing this.
You got it, man. Anytime,
Love
Darin.
coming down.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Appreciate it. Nice
Thanks
seeing
for
you.
watching.